Now, do I have a treat for you guys? My notes. Our next comic is generally accepted as someone you bring in when results are neither required nor expected. He has been known to heavily medicate. You can watch him in his role as Dimitri in the upcoming TV series Headliners. Let's give a welcome for Peter Cianfarani. Yay! And I can't believe I said that right.
Thank you. For those of you who are wondering, these are cheat sheets. We call them a call list. And before I start, really appreciate everyone coming out and giving us a chance to try out some new material. With the pandemic, it's tough for comics to get out and try their jokes and massage it and everything, so this is a great opportunity for us, and we really appreciate it. The other thing I wanted to say was happy birthday to Dana. It's her birthday, so everyone give her a big round of applause. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Pete was saying later on he had something for you to blow out like it was his birthday. That's okay. We don't need. There's certain things in this life I didn't need to know, and I'm sure that was one of them. Also, let's give a big hand to Nancy, who has helped to organize all of this. She's done an amazing job considering everything she has to do. I mean, she's a mother of 3. She's an archaeologist by training. She finished high school at age 14. She's got advanced PhDs in medicine and business. She was called to the bar in 2015. Not only that, but apparently she's a Nobel laureate and she's going to be piloting the next space shuttle. So let's give all of that, and she did all of this. Let's give her a big round of applause. Not too enthusiastically, I made up the 3 kids part. Kids are fun though, aren't they? Yeah. Kids are fun, you know, well, the conception part is anyway, and then you have to deal with the whole thing that happens afterwards. When a woman goes into labor, her entire coven wants to know every aspect of the birth. They want to know height, weight. They want to know hair color, eye color, how many hours in labor. They want to know what the child's name is, what sex. Guys care not about any of that. When a guy says, what sex? It's rhetorical. But eventually that magical moment happens. You're in the hospital room and your wife is lying there, or your significant other is lying there, splayed out, spread eagle, with half a dozen hands inside of her cooch. And when you suggested something similar in high school, she was like, oh no, what's wrong with you? But now it seems to be okay. And then your kid is born and the hospital makes you take it home. What I'm saying here, everybody, is that we do not advocate enough anal sex. That's what I'm trying to tell everyone. And women, don't get me wrong, we appreciate what you have to go through during labor. We really do appreciate it. Right, fellas? I mean, you ever take a dump so big you use the Lamaze method? Speaking of bathroom etiquette, I have a question for everybody. So, the sun's just coming up, it's early morning, I'm figuring everyone's asleep and I have to take a big dump. So I'm squinting, mid-pinch, when suddenly there's someone standing there staring at me. So I start yelling, close the door, close the door. And he starts yelling, get off my lawn, get off my lawn. Here's my question. Is it just me, or was he rude for standing on the veranda and staring at me? And I don't care what anybody says. That school bus showing up that early to take his kids to school during a pandemic, that's just wrong. School. Those were tough times, weren't they? My high school was so tough, the home ec class used to knit sweaters with steel wool. Not that it was all bad. Every now and again I'll crack open a yearbook and I'll masturbate to all of the popular chicks. Is it creepy that they're not my yearbooks? Or that they are dated 2016? Uh-oh. People always tell me I look exactly the same as I did in high school. If I look like this back in the day, it's no wonder I didn't date much. But I did date, don't get me wrong. I had my first girlfriend in grade 7. It was more of a crush, actually. we got in touch with each other again on Facebook, and she's so excited to go to high school. As a teacher. It's pet. I dated a twin once. Now, this woman was awesome. She was kind, considerate, attractive, intelligent. She had everything going for her, except that she wouldn't let us have sex. Her sister, on the other hand, that was completely different. We used to call her vagina haggis because we weren't entirely sure what went into it. And I would have stuck it out too if they weren't conjoined there. So, but I broke up with her by ditching her in one of those really difficult escape rooms. You know the one, IKEA? Yeah, I'm sure she made it out okay after a while. I mean, two heads are better than one, right? By applause, how many of the women here would date a serial killer? Now, I'm talking about a good-looking, well-endowed serial killer, not one that looks like me. None. Oh, thank you. Thank you. See, that's the difference between men and women. If a female serial killer was hot and stacked, every guy would date her. Obviously, just the once, but... How about a supermodel? Any of the guys here have sex with a supermodel? Just me? I would have gone with the standard model, but when you're as rough on a blow-up doll as I am, you want to go for one that's going to last. Not that they're indestructible. I usually keep a little repair kit, there in case we have to play doctor. I had one once that looked like she was trying to kick a 3-pack-a-day habit. What can I say? I'm perpetually horny. When I was a teen, if it had a hole, I wanted to stick my dick in it. You didn't leave donuts lying around at my house when I was a kid, and if you found a donut lying around, you certainly didn't eat it. Hey fellas, you ever take a dump so huge that you finally see the tip of your penis? My parents, they were supportive. They were backed me on everything that I wanted to do, which really helped my alcoholism. There was one time they sent me, they let me go on one of those winery tours, the ones where they take you through the grapevine, but I didn't hear anything. What I did learn was, I like my women like I like my wine, aging in a cask in the cellar. Is that too much? Was that too much, Deb? Sorry? Awesome! That's what I was counting on. My vagining rod was just aiming right at you. No, that was probably too much. I think I can do a little better. I think I can do better on that.
I'm a little sore. I had sex this morning.
The last morning I had sex. Now you got me lost. Now I got to go through my list again. I like starting my shows off with 5 minutes of misogynist jokes. Because let's face it, what woman doesn't enjoy a good 5-minute massage? You guys are a tough crowd. Some people say I'm too hung up on sex. I don't think that's true. I think I'm compassionate. I remember once there was this girl, she was, all teary-eyed, her nose was runny, her face was all puffy, too ugly to nail, but she hung out with all the hot chicks, so I figured, I'd comfort her. Put my arm around her, told her everything was going to be okay. When I went in to give her a hug, she got all indignant, pushed me away, and told me where to go. What I'm saying, ladies, is if you look the same during allergy season as you do during one of life's upheavals, try a different antihistamine. You know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. I was once at the beach and this kid came running out of the water. He was all screaming and waving his arms and everything, so I ran up to him and I peed on him. Was he stung by a jellyfish? I don't know. Hey fellas, do you ever take a dump so huge the gravitational pull of the earth weakens? I was walking by my teenage daughter's room and I caught a part of a conversation that no father ever wants to hear. She was talking to her boyfriend about how much it hurt getting her second hole done. Now I realize it was about her earrings, but at the time I didn't know. And what confused me the most was my wife was agreeing with her. My wife doesn't wear jewelry. Speaking of being sodomized, anybody here wants to commit a felony, I recommend that you go get a colonoscopy first. Yeah, because if you want to know what the ins and outs of prison are like, that's the best way to tell. Not only that, early detection, am I right? Because, like, early detection saved my aunt when she found out she had prostate cancer, which was a huge surprise to my uncle. Not to mention their kids. The other day I saw a guy blow a tranny. He was in the middle of the road, but this car was shit. And it probably didn't cost him much anyway. See, now with that joke, some people would automatically want to be offended because they would think it was going in a different direction. They don't know I'm talking about the transmission of the guy's car. I'm not. The dude had an Adam's apple, but that could have been. Some people make a big deal out of nothing. You ever mispronounce somebody's name or forget it entirely and then they get all uppity and they start whining, you know, Dad! Hey fellas, you ever take a dump so huge you start to question your sexual orientation? Do you think cannibals argue over whose mom is the best cook? When two Italians are talking, how do you know they're not deaf? If Jesus is watching you 24/7, what face do you think he makes when you're masturbating? If hell has a fraternity, what's their initiation like? These are the questions that keep me up at night. Every religion has its high holidays, but none beat the Rastafarians. I'm going to let you guys think about that one for a second. My parents weren't religious at all. Whenever they would call to God, it was because they were either yelling at us or having sex. And if we walked in on them, it was a crapshoot. We didn't know which one was which. What we did learn was that you don't have to be bad to get spanked. I found out from one of those ancestry websites that I'm part Cherokee, but I think that was because I was conceived in a Jeep. But I can't get my status card because it was a Grand Cherokee. Oh, that was a groaner? That was a groaner? That's one of my favorite jokes. That was a groaner? I told that at an Indigenous thing once. You've never seen a white guy run faster than Indians. So let's see. We've covered misogyny, we've covered sexism, cultural bias, religion, homophobia. Let's tick off all the boxes. What am I missing? Races. I love races. All kinds of races because they're so unpredictable and there's so many of them. I love the feel, the energy behind a car races. I love the thundering hoofbeats of horse races. Right? See, again, everybody sort of thought that was going in a different direction. The fact of the matter is, the only ones I really don't like are the foot races, but that's because the blacks always win those. Another groaner, I guess. I was told once I'm going to get sued over that one, but I tell everyone, go ahead and sue me. Take me to court. Hire the best lawyer you can, because I'm going to get his wife to defend me. I'll bet you he's never won an argument against her. That's a long setup for the lawyer joke, isn't it? Hey fellas, you ever take a dump so huge that your bathroom scale sighs with relief? Being over 50 is like going through puberty again. You get hair growing where you never had it before. Your voice changes. Your testicles lower further. And when you roll into that cold spot, that's not from a wet dream. And you're that much closer to death. Everyone always says that they want to die peacefully in their sleep. I don't. I want to linger. I want to drag on, suffer long enough to be a financial burden to my family. And then, once I'm dead, I want them to put me in a jack-in-the-box, and everyone that comes to visit has to crank it once. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Then I want to be cremated and put in a piñata and have someone sneak it back into the shelf at Bulk Barn. Speaking of losing a family member, my kids lost their dog recently, Yeah, they were teaching it to fetch with a stick when I lit the bonfire, and, well, you know how those things go. And speaking of being incinerated, am I the only one who sees the irony in cremating a fireman? I actually know firemen who won't go to barbecues because the smell reminds them. I also know gynecologists who won't eat seafood for the same reason. Thank you very much, everyone. That's my time. I appreciate it. We really do appreciate you coming out. Keep an eye out for me in that headliner series when it comes out, wherever it's coming out, whenever it's coming out, or follow me on Facebook. Thanks again. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, Peter.